Hey guys, Alex Hollings here, editor of Sandboxx News and Marine veteran. Today I'm going to talk to you about 5 of the biggest stories that we've covered over the past week, including the first ever female Green Beret to pass Special Forces training, how to vote via absentee ballot for those of you who are serving away from your home of record, the true story of the Dogs of War by our friend Amy Dickey. I'm going to tell you about why the Pentagon says you should delete TikTok off your phone. And finally, we're going to go over an incredible story from F-35 pilot instructor Justin Lee about the fastest that he has ever flown in his stripped-down F-16. So without further ado, let's get into it. Earlier this week, it was announced that for the first time in American history, a female soldier has made it all the way through Special Forces training and has earned the right to wear the legendary Green Beret. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with the difference between Special Operations and Special Forces, let's break that down really quickly. Now, Special Forces is a title that pertains only to the U.S. Army's Green Berets. Now, these Green Berets are tasked with a wide variety of mission sets, ranging from direct action, which is good old-fashioned door-kicking and bad guy shooting, all the way through training foreign militaries to defend themselves against outside threats. Special Forces soldiers are literally the cutting edge of American foreign policy, and often they are the people tasked with enforcing American foreign policy in austere environments all around the globe. Now, this story is a big deal for obvious reasons. It's the first time a female soldier has ever successfully completed Army Special Forces training and earned her spot on one of these elite warfighting teams. But it's not the first time a woman should have. Way back in 1981, another female soldier that went by the name of Captain Kathleen Wilder successfully completed almost all of Special Forces training, only to be dropped days before completion. Subsequently, she filed a lawsuit citing discrimination, and an Army investigation found that she was indeed dismissed wrongly. So, while this new Green Beret, America's newest female Special Forces soldier, is certainly something to celebrate, this celebration is a bit belated. Now, that's not the only reason this story is a big deal. It also so happens that America's first female Special Forces soldier also happens to be serving in the National Guard, which shines an important light on America's special operations capacity, both on the active duty component and on the reserve side of the house. It's a big deal all the way around, so we reached out to special operations veterans to tell us what they think this means for the special ops community. We also reached out to female soldiers serving in the National Guard to ask them what this means to them. We put that all together in a fantastic piece called "Here's What Special Ops Veterans and Female Soldiers Think of the First Female Green Beret." It's on Sandboxx News right now, and I highly recommend you check it out. Now, the second most important story of the week that I wanted to discuss is all about the 2020 election and making sure that your voice is heard. We put together a great resource guide on how to vote via absentee ballots for those of you who are serving far away from your home of record or are currently deployed. Now, every state has got its own deadlines when it comes to when you can request your absentee ballot and when you should have it returned by. And we included links for resources that would help you find that for your specific state. Now, our next story is near and dear to my heart because who doesn't love a military working dog? Sandboxx contributor Amy Dickey dove into the history of service dogs in America's armed forces, from Sergeant Stubby, the first dog ever to earn a rank in the U.S. military and the most highly decorated dog in World War I, all the way to Cairo, the dog that ran alongside Navy SEALs as they took down Osama bin Laden. This story's got great history, great heart, and some pretty cute pictures. I highly recommend you give it a read. Now, the next important story that we want to discuss is all about the popular social media app TikTok, and why the Pentagon is advising that you delete it off your phone right away. Now, if you're not familiar with TikTok, it's a social media platform that you can use to share short video clips, usually of you lip-syncing to your favorite song, doing a funny dance, or whatever else it is that kids are doing in short videos these days. It's not all that dissimilar from Vine from a few years back, but where it's very distinct from Vine is that TikTok has direct ties to the Chinese government, and as a result, the Pentagon has deep concerns about data privacy and them collecting sensitive information about its users. Now, TikTok is also subject to Chinese governmental censorship, which means that any stories that don't really vibe with the Chinese narrative tend to get censored or even removed. Sometimes, people in places like Hong Kong who upload those videos to Vine can even face legal punishments. Now, because of data collection, data privacy, and foreign influence campaigns, the Pentagon is telling all service members to delete their accounts and to delete the app off their phone. But to be honest, it's probably pretty good advice for all of us. If you'd like to learn more, we've got a story on Sandboxx News right now called Here's Why the Pentagon Says You Should Delete TikTok, and I recommend you give it a read. And finally, the last story we want to talk about this week also happens to be my favorite, because I like saving the best for last. Now, this story is all about what it's like to take your fighter jet to the absolute hairy edge of how fast it'll go. And it was written by F-35 pilot instructor and Sandboxx News contributor Justin Hazard Lee. Now, in the story, Justin talks about his days behind the stick of an F-16, because those are actually a bit faster than the F-35. In order to really top out how fast he could make it go, Justin's team stripped the plane of all ordnance and superfluous combat gear. They also gave it a minimal fuel load. Then Justin took the jet all the way up to its service ceiling, pointed the nose back toward the ground, and hit the afterburner. This story is incredible, and my favorite part has to be when he crosses the Mach 1.6 barrier and the wings of the aircraft start to shake. It reminds me of driving my old Mustang when I was a Lance Corporal in 29 Palms. Now, when you're going that fast, you can't eject. You'll very likely break every bone in your body under that much G-force. So Justin knew he was in it to win it or to die, and he kept pushing all the way to Mach 1.9. This story is incredible, and I highly recommend you give it a read. If you find it interesting, next week we're actually going to host a video of Justin talking about his experience flying the F-16 that fast. Likely faster than most other pilots ever get to go. Now that's it for this week, but let me tell you, we've got a lot more great content coming out in the days to come. Make sure you swing by sandboxnews.com every day for the latest in military news, motivation, education, and entertainment from all around the force. And give us a like on Facebook, or follow on Twitter, and swing by our Instagram. It's pretty cool. Thanks, guys.